There you are. Welcome to Capitulate to the Captain, our weekly AFL podcast. Now, normally the podcast will air on Sunday nights, but since I do whatever I want, it's going to air tonight. Capitulate to the Captain is going to have typically three segments. The first is Coach's Critique, in which I'll pick maybe 3 or 4 coaches and go into their AFL play. Now, I have been on record as saying being a good AFL coach is not simply about winning and losing. If that were the case, then Brent Shore would be one of the best AFLers of all time. But Brent Shore, I don't know, sucks. He was a terrible AFLer. It's so much more than that. It's getting your games in on time, responding to emails in a childish and very confrontational way. And what I think might be the most important is the write-ups. The last few seasons, people have gotten pretty shady, pretty lackluster write-ups, I think. Several charter members, in fact. Write-ups are only so-so. It seems like they're just wasting time. We'll get into that, though. So it's not just about winning and losing. So people like Paul, don't worry. You can still be in there as in the discussion of being a good AFL coach. Although your write-ups oftentimes reflect novels more than articles, something to work on. The next segment are random reflections, in which I will just talk about whatever the hell I want. Now, maybe it will have something to do with AFL, but probably not. And the third segment is the Douche-sicle Award. The Douche-sicle, again, that award, it might go to an AFL coach. It might go to someone we all know. It might go to a celebrity. It might go to a group of people. For this one, I'm going to get outside help on. Bumpkin will sort of be giving his input on the Douche-sicle Award. And you stay on, it's not really an award, I guess I should say, it's a list. You stay on the list until you do something to sort of redeem yourself, and then I will cross you off the list. So we'll start with Coach's Critique. I'm going to start with T-Bone. I never had much respect for T-Bone. I always kind of thought he was just an outlier. Soft around the midsection, sort of cared about the AFL, won a few games here and there, but lately he has really come on and impressed me. I guess that's what ignoring your family will do. So I imagine him sitting down in his basement while his wife takes care of his family, practicing Madden. And I salute you, T-Bone. The next coach I want to talk about is Grungy. Grungy's sort of gone the other direction. I could never beat Grungy in the early seasons, and now he is awful. And he sort of reminds me of Donovan McNabb in that when he does win, it's usually big and puts up a ton of stats. But when it comes down to the big game, not so much. So you might remember McNabb throwing 4 touchdowns against the Cardinals on a broken leg. Big fucking deal. Because there was that game where OC owned him, I believe it was 7 times, and he couldn't come up with more than 1 touchdown. Same thing with Grungy. I think he put up 80 points. But I guarantee you, when I play him, he probably won't put up 80. But he sort of reminds me of McNabb in that sense that he comes up big against really terrible players, and then when he faces someone even average skill, doesn't do much. Delaney, just quit. You never email. Your write-ups are terrible. You don't get your games on time. Just do the doctor thing, man. I get it. I would do it too. But stop pretending. You got to contribute. You know, like I said, do the doctor thing. Wear the polos and go to the golf tournaments and shake everybody's hand introducing yourself as Dr. Hammer. You were an AFL great, but it's time to move on. Okay, you're sort of like T.O. now. You're just hanging on and no one really wants you. I love you, Hammer. But if you're going to be in the AFL, be in the AFL. The last coach I want to talk about, Coach Z. It's really a sad state of affairs. He used to be, just a moment. He used to be the bad boy, and I had to take that over. Now he's just, no one fears him, no one hates him, he doesn't piss anybody off. He's terrible. I used to love to hate him. And now I can't hate him. It's like the Jets or the Knicks. They used to be good. But how do you hate the Jets or the Knicks? They're so futile. We need you back as the bad boy. That's it for Coach's critique. I seemed critical, other than T-Bone. I saluted T-Bone. Maybe that'll be a new segment. But they won't always be. There are coaches so far that have impressed me. Barney, wait till I get to you. Random reflections. Much of this, for those of you who I've known for quite some time, is going to be a repeat. But in coming weeks, I'll get some new stuff. But for those of you who maybe I haven't known quite as long, I wanted to bring you up to speed on some of my thoughts on whatever the hell I want. First, and Ben and I have had many conversations about this, and I don't know why we have felt the need to have more than one conversation about this. George Clooney is so ridiculously good looking that he's taken something that's subjective, being good looking, and I think he's made it provable that he's the best looking man on earth. Empirically speaking, I think you could prove it. I think there's actual data. I mean, if another dude kissed him, I don't even think you'd have to consider yourself a homosexual. I wouldn't consider that person a homosexual. The next topic, frisbees. Anyone who can throw a frisbee successfully has my attention. I can throw a frisbee successfully 1 out of 7 or 8 times. At kickball, I see these people that can throw a frisbee about 60 yards anywhere they want, and it flies straight. When I throw it, it goes straight and then curves up and does a nosedive. I don't know how people throw a frisbee. And those people that can throw the frisbee like this, I'm not exaggerating, I could watch them all day. throw a frisbee. So if you're one of those people, you get a captain salute. The third thing, I know I've been critical of people, and so I think it's important to spread that around, and I'll sort of be critical of myself. And it's kind of a question. Now that I'm over the age of 30, well, I've been over the age of 30 for over a year, but I've just sort of become aware of it. I feel myself constantly emitting an odor. Do you guys? Is that something you got going on? The other thing that's interesting about that, I don't remember always smelling. I don't seem to care. It doesn't bother me. Which I think is probably more worrisome than me actually smelling. And for the final segment of our initial podcast, the first entry onto the douche-sickle list. As I said, this can be an AFL coach, it could be someone we all know not in the AFL, it could be a celebrity, it could be a group of people, it could be an inanimate object. Whatever the hell I want. The first entry, hipsters. At first I was amused by these people, but who the fuck do they think they're kidding? First of all, I don't appreciate them stealing my glasses thing. I was, those thick black glasses? I was the first one to do that. They stole that. If they start wearing bow ties, I'm going to be pissed. But the whole culture of, I only wear vintage clothing. I only drink micro-brewed beers. I talked about the clothing. I only wear clothes from, that are secondhand but still look really good. I don't own a TV. I can ride a longboard. Wait, do they? I don't know. Seems like they would. I eat sushi. I have interesting discussions. I'm starting to think that these hipsters are all show. And they really are starting to force it down our throat. Hey, look how counterculture I am, everybody. Look how rebellious I am. Hey, I want to be part of the hipster culture. Well, now you're not so counterculture anymore. But mostly it's the glasses. Stealing that from you really kind of pissed me off. So, hipsters, you are on the douche-sickle list. There you have it. The douche-sickle list, the hipsters being the first entry. And until they do something of redeeming value in my eyes, they will remain there. Next week I will have someone else to put on the douche-sickle list. And with that, we have wrapped up our first edition of Capitulate to the Captain, your weekly AFL podcast, airing normally on Sundays. And with that, I bid you fond farewell and adieu.